All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I just figured I'd make it official, make it its own video, that I have in fact officially lost my job at Amazon over refusing to suffocate in a face mask. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have lost my employment, my livelihood over refusal to wear one of these things while doing backbreaking physical labor for entire 10-hour shifts, 4 days a week. And it didn't matter to them that I was inhaling it into my mouth and it was getting soaked in sweat and all this and that. It just, this whole thing has turned into such a joke. In fact, so I'll show you guys the actual email right here. It says you're receiving this notification because you neglected to report to your last 3 scheduled shifts without any without any communication from you as to why. We have attempted to contact you via multiple channels, email, A to Z, and slash or phone, and you have failed to reply. Per Amazon's attendance policy, in the event that you're unable to attend work for 3 consecutive scheduled shifts and no notification has been provided, we will assume that you have voluntarily resigned from your position and we will proceed with your termination for job abandonment. You will be eligible for rehire after 365 days. Exactly 1 year from the date of this email, basically. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, I just voluntarily resigned my position for absolutely no reason at all. Just no reason. Just no reason. No reason. Just it didn't have anything to do with me suffocating in this thing, for 10 hours a day. No, it wasn't any of that. It wasn't, actual literal physical suffocation. Oh, it's late. I was out Ubering all night. I'm 2 months behind on my car payments, and I'm just trying to make as much rent as I can right now to give, over here, because, they've given me this new room and all, which I'm very grateful for. I love it. it it's a great, awesome studio, but so yeah, I've ever since I lost my job over this, it's taken a tremendous financial and emotional, just everything toll on me, but mainly financial. It's just my life has been just a depressing mess because as I've mentioned in my previous videos, I went through years of being stuck living in my dad's kitchen, going crazy with you guys know the whole story, the lack of personal space and privacy. And, finally I was able to get out of that. And I was lucky enough to land here and I got my personal space and privacy. I got my own room, even though initially it was just a shed. And, I was able to get on my feet. I was able to get that job at Amazon immediately. I was making like 600 or near 600 bucks a week. Well, especially after that extra $2. It was never officially hazard pay, but that's what it was basically supposed to be. Uh, extra $2 per hour. So I was pushing it to at least $600 per week. I was catching up on debt. I was moving forward. I was starting to look, positive towards life again. And then this stupid COVID shit happened, and then I couldn't breathe in this damn thing, and I lost all of that, and it sent me crawling back on my hands and knees to Uber. Oh God. And then people wonder why I get so frustrated and pissed off and miserable, and it's just like it takes a lot of strength to endure something like this, just being part of the millennial generation. My generation has been just slammed after, with disaster after disaster after disaster. I'm sure some of you guys watching this know what I mean. Leave your comments down below. Share your own stories of, your, how this disaster has affected your life, your livelihood, your happiness, your enjoyment of life, just all of it. Just let it all out. This is the place to do it. Network 126. So, yeah, Durango 95. I'm just going to jump into a comment real quick. I just happened to notice Durango 95 is saying, yeah, basically, you're not joking. It does suck to have a job right now. I know I might be able to sit tight for a little longer and kind of maybe try and wait it out, but I don't know. Yeah, real talk, Durango 95. Real shit. Oh, I missed your previous comment up here. You said fuck wearing the muzzle. They don't do shit. Consider wait, consider that many countries around the world wear face masks, especially Asian countries wear them all the time. And guess what? It never stopped anything. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Walking Journey was also saying it sucks to have a job at the moment. Yeah, because you're out there in Texas and those masks are mandatory out there too. I know all about that. Walking Journey is trying to jump in to the millennial crowd. Yeah, so like I was saying about the millennials, my generation has been just slammed with disaster after disaster. First, there was a recession slash depression of '08, which a lot of us never recovered from in the first place. And then up until just recently in the beginning of the year, I had just started to gain traction in life and move forward. Like I was saying, I was actually getting out of debt. I was starting to pay it down for once instead of accumulate it, in a month. It was a miracle. I was feeling great. I was feeling so positive, and like I said, then COVID, and this stupid COVID shit happened, and it just ruined everything. It's just sent me spiraling back down to the ground, and then, like I said, crawling back to Uber on my hands and knees. Uh, I did manage to make some pretty decent money tonight. I made like 88 bucks, I believe. Now, the thing is, I guess I should add is Uber does allow us to set our own rates. So I've been setting it at a minimum of 1.5. I pretty much refuse to drive for under 1.5. I did drive a couple trips for 1.4 just because I kept getting passengers declining me for being too expensive. So I guess I couldn't gouge them too much. I mean, I feel bad, but I'm in a really tight spot right now. Like I said, I'm 2 months behind on my car payments. Uh, Durango 95 wants to call. Okay, I guess we'll try to make it quick because I think people start waking up around here and connecting to the Wi-Fi, and you all know what happens when people start connecting to the Wi-Fi. It's just the internet connection sucks. So, uh, by the way, anybody watching this like after the fact or something, this would really help out a lot. I can upgrade the internet connection for like about maybe 30 bucks more a month. The current internet, the package deal, the TV, internet, and phone. I don't use. I mean, if it were up to me, I would just keep the internet, but it's not my house, So it's $70 a month, but there are amazing internet packages. You don't even need to go into the business category or anything crazy like that. Just a basic, not absolute minimum home package, and they're like about $100 a month. And if I pay at least the difference, I mean, I could be live streaming 24/7. Just throwing that out there. So anyway, Durango 95, if you want to call, I'm not sure if I have Do Not Disturb activated or not. Let me check that real quick. Let me see. Let me check my settings. Okay, I did have Do Not Disturb activated, Durango 95. Oh, my number. Are you ready to dial it right now? Well, I'll give it out a couple times, or maybe I'll even type it too. It's just dial 1-802-738-0126, and I'll write that out for you uh, down here in the comments section. Bam. There you go. So if you go ahead and call that number, that's my Google Voice number, by the way. That's how I was able to sneak that 126 into that phone number. So Durango 95, the line's open for you. I'm pretty interested to hear your story real quick here. Walking Journey trying to jump in with the shout out. He's like the little kid in the background. He's like, hey, I just uploaded a video. He's all jumping around. I just uploaded a video. Walking Journey channel. I just uploaded a video. All right, come on, Durango 95. Hurry up and call. Let's see if there's any other interesting comments while I wait in the meantime. Hold on, let me turn it. I'm just going to turn up my brightness here so I make sure I see the screen. Oh, there we go. It is Durango 95, everybody. I'm going to, let's see if I can. Hey, what's up? Hello.
Accept, press 1.
Oh, shit, I forgot. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, Durango 95?
Yeah.
All right, you're live on Network 126.
All right. So basically, I guess the bastards nixed you because you didn't conform to the nonsense.
Yeah, basically, I wasn't a robot. I couldn't. I didn't accept their programming. I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I understand that's been happening quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. Definitely. Yeah. I've heard stories that there was actually a couple videos I watched. Even like the guy doing the video, one of them in the video's dad lost his job over refusing the mask.
Well, and then of course the thing is notice how it's the big corporations that's really pushing this shit.
Yeah, no, there's Missy in the background. I was hearing that, I forget which ones it was off the top of my head, but maybe you might know, or someone in the comments watching this, that there were previous pandemics where, even more people died, and we never had face masks, we never had social distancing, we never had any of this.
Well, yeah. In fact, there was a bad flu epidemic that hit in 1968. And yeah, if you go look, it was really bad. However, we never shut anything down. We didn't tell people to do all this crap. We did, in fact, the hippies still got together and had their parties and, music festivals and everything. I mean,
yeah, kind of like they're doing now that they're calling them COVID parties.
Yeah.
This whole world's going nuts.
Well, it is part of a bigger plan.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that, and a lot of it, I hate to admit, but a lot of it does make a lot of sense. I mean, I can't say for sure what's going on, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. Hey, Missy. No, stay off the keyboard. No keyboard.
Well, I think a lot lot of it has to do with, look, I mean, early on with this shit, I had told folks in my inner circle, I think the last time I had called in, I may have mentioned it. I think a lot of this really comes down to an inventory problem. I mean, you remember, I'm sure you've heard of them, those China trade talks, those China trade deals or whatnot that was supposed to happen that, by the way, never did.
Yeah, that there was a lot of hype about that, and then there were that they kept saying that they're so close to making a deal, and that they're working on this step and that step, and then it never really went anywhere.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, here past couple of weeks they've been playing with that shit again as a means to make the market go up and then make it drop a little bit. Yeah, they've been doing this for like 3 years or so, where it's 1 minute it's on, then it's off, then it's going to go, then it's not, then we're so close, then we're not. And, they've just been playing around. And a lot of that is basically to humor the fake stock market.
Yeah, it really is.
And so at the end of the day, I think that this is kind of a cover for that. I mean, notice how COVID anything never bothered to enter our media, nor really even being discussed at government levels until the stock market really started to take a big dive towards the last of January. I mean, I think at the earliest it might have been maybe mid-January, but the market was a little funny then. But you get into late January, and especially through February, and man, it was really taking a dive.
Yeah, it really was.
I think it was kind of cover for that, but I think it's also that, I think China basically slowed down production. And there's definitely something going on there. I mean, it's like, for instance, there's been some talk about how we're blaming China and supposedly they're going to sue them in international court. Yeah, like communists really give a shit, right? And,
right.
And it's like, well, but the interesting thing is as much as they're talking about it being Chinese government fault and this and that, well, look, we were funding the damn lab to begin with, so we funded the experiment.
Yeah.
And then there was a situation where what I find very interesting is you have all of the American corporations that have production lines in China. Okay?
Oh, yeah, I know. Like, everything is made in China. Apple, the iPhones, even this phone that I'm holding right now, the LG.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Hell, the box fan I've got sitting here is from China.
LG is Lucky Gold Star.
There you go. But the thing is it's like, so they want to blame the Chinese government left and right. And, okay, they are responsible to a degree, okay. But here's my problem. How come nobody's talking about the big-ass American corporations that had production lines there that obviously saw their workers fall over, either passed out dead or just extremely sick, at least as far back as October of last year? How come they never said anything about that? And so their silence, those big executives keeping all this shit quiet until way after the Christmas season. Okay, isn't that basically aiding and abetting the Chinese Communist government? And then if they did say anything to either fake side in Washington, D.C., well, gee golly whiz, they kept their mouths shut too. So aren't they all guilty of aiding and abetting the Chinese government? I mean, if they really want to go after the Chinese government, shouldn't we really be wondering what the hell our government knew?
I know, like...
And via the corporations?
Yeah, like the I just can't help but think of the iPhone factory where they actually installed anti-suicide nets around the building. Anti-suicide nets. That's actually a thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that busted wide open in the middle of last decade. I remember that. And
like, what kind of world are we living in?
Yeah. Well, I think that, Apple was probably the most publicized, but they're certainly not the only one.
Oh, most definitely, I'm sure. By far, yeah. I believe that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, man, China is basically one giant factory, but it's also a giant factory of fucking death.
And that's why it's so dirty too, that you can't even like see or breathe or anything, even with or without the mask. The air is just that bad, from what I've heard. I've never been there, but
yeah, I mean, there's cities where on what they consider to be a clear day, visibility is less than half a mile because of all smog.
Wow.
I mean, you know, it is literally that bad. But my thing is I mean, I think that, you know, the companies are in on this, and I think both supposed sides of the government, political sides, whatever you want to call them, the bottom line is they're all in on this shit. And, well, you know, that's the thing too. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, you know, it's like here in Ohio, our idiot elf for a governor and shown up, and he's wanting to play this crap county by county mask mandate. My county went into this effective 6 p.m. last Friday. And of course, I've been going everywhere without one and just fucking ignoring it. And it turns out a lot of other people are doing the same. There's really no way they can enforce it. I mean, the cops aren't really getting involved, at least so far. And then, of course, the dirty little secret about the health department, I don't care what state you're in, is, well, they close at 5 o'clock. And anybody who knows anything about government employees, they usually duck out the door at 4:30.
Oh.
So who in the hell is going to show up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who in the hell is going to show up after, you know, definitely after 5 o'clock? Now, maybe they've gotten a hold of some weird money and they might have hired a couple of minions. But at the same time, I highly doubt it, because they're really pushing this deal. Call this hotline and turn people in. And I think that that's a complete waste of money. And the reason being is because, well, not only is that idiotic, but it's also a situation to where, I mean, the idiot that might want to turn me in, do you really think I'm giving this person my actual name? I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Give them a description? And then by the time they get there, well, it's probably going to be the next day.
Like that guy over there. Where?
Yeah. I mean,
what was he wearing? I don't know, clothes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just complete ridiculousness.
Yeah, that this whole entire world, society in general, has just descended into just chaos. Just a giant chaotic clusterfuck of some bullshit.
You said it. I mean, you know, that's the thing. It has. I mean, it's really, man, it's really taking a shit.
Man,
I don't know.
Lucky us to get to experience all this within our lifetimes, huh?
Oh God.
Lucky us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I noticed how they've really made a big effort to, well, at least some pundits here and there have made a big effort to fire up the old fucking anti-millennial bullshit again.
Oh.
Well, it's just the millennials and this and that. It's like, yeah, well, that's what the news shows you on TV.
Yeah, well, you know how to shut them down? Just 2 words. Okay, boomer.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, well, what's funny is it ain't even a lot of the boomer. Well, it is boomers bitching about it, but I mean, some of it is even like, you know, the fucking Gen Xers and actually millennials around our age group. There's some of them that are dick wagging about it. And of course, I think it's because, you know, they're looking for a couple old people brownie points, but
yeah. This, like I said,
I don't know. I mean,
it just ties into the whole world being crazy, basically.
It's, well, I mean, you know, it's, well, what was the big deal there a little over a decade ago, you know, when the economy took a crap and everybody basically realized that, oh, okay, the fun games are over. What did it turn into? Well, it immediately turned into, well, there's fucking millennials. And it's like, well, wait a minute, man. I mean, you know, I was 20 in 2005. I didn't have no fucking house to lose. You know, I didn't get no credit card to run up and go bankrupt and have foreclosures. And, you know, I mean, my parents unfortunately did, but I certainly didn't.
Yeah, no shit. A lot of people.
Well, see, that was the thing. It's just like, okay, so I guess a lot of us older millennials, we were definitely in our 20s by the time a lot of this, kind of went down, or, well, it did go down. But at the same time, the mass majority of the millennials were still in fucking high school. I mean, so explain to me how the economy was our fault again. I mean,
I know, right?
That's the thing. I mean, these
this
guys
is why
have been pumping the credit card.
This is why I just go so insane sometimes. I just can't take it anymore. I can't. I'm sure many can relate.
I can tell you, it fucking straight pisses me off to go through this, about every day, because the biggest thing that's really annoying to me is a little thing called logic. Yeah, that fucker left a long time ago. I mean, it went to the bar and it just stayed there. and as far as common sense, it fucking joined him. I mean, this is the thing. Critical thinking, yeah, that went out the window as well.
Yeah. I mean, those shit, just look around. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, all three of those guys are completely drunk and wasted out of their ass.
That's a good way of putting that.
I mean, they just basically straight had enough a long time ago. And I don't know. It's basically, I think what we're entering is, a series of shit shows, but I think right now the shit show that they're really starting to get going is
major
the
shit show.
Well, it's the blame game. The blame game has already started.
And I'm already hearing of like the mass wave of evictions on the horizon because that they're ending the extra $600 a week pandemic unemployment right as I'm starting to try to apply for it. That just boils me up inside so much. Yeah, God.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I mean, early on with this, I had said, that the other side of summer is going to be shitty. And
that's what I keep hearing.
There really is going to be evictions. There's going to be evictions, and there's going to be waves of foreclosures.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the only thing about foreclosure, though, is a lot of the times that can take up to a year, possibly 2 years or more to process. Just kind of depends on the state laws, depends on how full their court docket is. But I can assure you that the more cases, the more foreclosures that pile up, the longer it may take. So you may get a stay of execution in your foreclosed home for God only knows, maybe up to 3 years. And then in some cases, they'll see that they'll end up doing what they did last time with a lot of them, to where the banks that foreclosed, they don't actually own the property.
No, they don't.
What had happened is they sold it. They sold the loan or whatever, and all they did was retain managementship of it. But the funny thing is the investors or whatnot that they sold it to, they disappeared. They're nowhere to be found. Yeah, there's houses even in my area that these people haven't paid a lick in rent nor property tax, never made a house payment in the past 6, 7, 8 years.
What?
And the county, yeah, no joke.
Oh, I wish I had one of those houses.
Yeah, no shit. I wish that, that would have happened to my parents instead of what did.
Damn.
But yeah, that was the thing. And what it was the bank had sold it to basically another like management firm or a lot of the times you get those, what the hell they call them, investment portfolio folks. Usually it's like a group of people that go together and pull their money. And guys like Romney and shit specialize in that, like Mitt Romney. They tend to do a lot of those. But there's a lot of small time guys out there that do it too. And so what happens is the banks will sell these loans off to clear them off their books. But then they'll go ahead and basically transfer them to another set of books. And what they're doing is they're managing the property for them. In other words, they don't even notify you. You think they still own it, which that ought to be highly illegal because you have a right to know who in the hell your lender.
Yeah, you would think.
But they don't tell anybody.
Huh.
But the minute that you miss payments and they know about it, they're the ones that file for foreclosure. Then there were some of them that tried to, but then some of the courts and counties had cracked down and said, well, wait a minute, if you don't really own it, you ain't got a right to foreclose on it. Who owns it? They give them the name of the company, the county, and whatever went looking for them. Never could find them. They were already gone, done out of business.
Oh, wow.
But and you would think that they would just fork over the house to the owner, but no, they won't do that. The system is set up. You're not getting the damn thing for free. You're going to pay somebody.
Damn.
And the only problem is they can't legally charge you because they don't own it.
Wow.
So these people basically end up the house itself sits in limbo, and so they just sit there forever. And of course, the county doesn't collect any tax.
And they just sit there and live in it indefinitely for free, basically. Wow.
Yeah. In fact, one of my friends, his ex-girlfriend, who was a city employee, was in the same situation.
No shit.
Yeah. And at the time, and I was told about this about 7 or better years ago, at the time, she hadn't made house payment in 5 or 6 years. And she was trying to claim the property. She was trying to get the county to say, basically give it to her, and she would go ahead and pay property tax. But I don't know. They said they couldn't do it. They have to find the bank owner. Problem is, the banks have made sure you're never finding who owns it. All of that disappeared.
Wow.
And then, of course, some of that is the cities and counties would much rather have a bank claim it. And the reason being is because then they can hit them up for back taxes. But the problem is the banks aren't that stupid. They know that, so they're never claiming. So the property basically just sits in fucking limbo, and then these people live there rent-free. So it's actually a sweet deal if you can pull that off.
Yeah, really.
Well, it was also used as another way to hide inventory of houses. Because, we had a big flood of foreclosures that flooded the market and drove prices to nothing. So I believe that it was a maneuver that was basically done out the back door on purpose is what it was.
Wow. This world is just so unbelievably nuts. No wonder aliens don't talk to us, kind of thing. They're just they're watching us with their high-powered microscopes and their little invisible drones and shit, and they're like, "What the fuck is this wrong with this species?"
Well, we're all con men to them. I mean, that's the thing, it's like there's one scam after another going on all the time. I mean, it used to be people just used to talk about the bookie down at the local bar. Fuck no, now your politicians are the bookies, man.
Yeah, really.
I mean, the politicians, the bankers, those guys are the gangsters now.
Yeah, no shit. They run everything.
Well, what they don't, they definitely put their friends in charge of it. It's one hell of a good old boy network with a side of murder.
Yep.
I don't know. That's the thing. I've had some friends ask me, well, where do you think this shit's going? I was like, probably to hell. Yeah. I don't know. You just kind of have to see. Sadly, I can definitely theorize where it's going.
Yeah, sadly, I have to agree with that statement. Whereas everything's just going to hell in a handbasket, basically. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
This is the thing. It's pretty bad when, the government basically puts people out of work. They're the ones that will be able to stay home. They're the ones that shut their jobs down. They said, no, fuck you can't come in here.
Yeah, the most enraging part about all of this is if this COVID shit, this mask shit never happened, I'd probably be driving the forklifts at Amazon by now instead of doing a video about how I'm officially fired.
Well, that's the thing. Hell, nothing's gone to plan for me this year either. Last year I had an injury and I was recovering from it, and I did some physical therapy. Was finishing up with that earlier this year. The plan was definitely to go back to work. And, well, all of this stuff got started. There were some other financial shortfalls that I needed certain clothes because I was going to go for an office job. And I was trying to look for other things in the meantime. Well, then, of course, all the freak out in the market happened. So a lot of the jobs basically said, yeah, I don't think we're really hiring right now.
Shit.
Then we went into full shutdown and all this stuff, and it's like, what the hell do we do? Now, it's like, I don't know, so they pretended to reopen, except now they're kind of wanting to march us right back into a shutdown.
Yeah, I've been seeing that, yeah.
So I noticed how if you check out Indeed, at least in my area, they're, even the big retailers that are open, they kind of quit posting shit. Once in a while, they'll have a little something, but for the most part, they don't have anything. And then, in fact, one of them, my father actually pulls part-time at, and he was talking about how they desperately need people, but it's like they're not really hiring anybody. Once in a blue moon, they might. But it's like, I don't know, they must have all these applications on file, and they're just pulling from them, and they don't really care who applies.
Oh boy, yeah, I mean, I've been through that kind of thing. You know, that didn't just an excess of applications everywhere I tried applying. You know, back in the recession of 08. It's like, oh, like, can I just catch a break? Can I just like get ahead for once in life and just be okay and happy and be able to, you know, pay my bills and not be in debt?
Well, and then to make matters worse, you know, the office jobs earlier this year, I mean, I was pretty stoked about it because, you know, a lot of them, I was just going for entry-level data entry bullshit, you know. And yet you could get, you know, 15, 16 an hour doing that. Not now. Now it's like maybe tops, a lot of them, it's 13.25, and on a really good day, maybe 14. Yeah. But it seems like every time I look at some of them, and a lot of them are through temp services, that's where you got to start, unfortunately. It's like every so often they drop the wage either a quarter or 50 cents. It's like, fuck that. I'll just go back to retail. I mean, I'm not driving because most of where I would end up is literally about 30 some miles away from here where I live. And I'm not going to do that stupid ass commute, get up at the crack of dawn and all that business. I mean, especially if I can pick up 40 hours here, yeah, it's around the same money, maybe a little less, but I'm also not driving 30 to 40 miles a day.
Yeah. You know, the cool part about the Amazon job, at least, is it was, you know, an overnight shift. I went in at 6:30 p.m. and came out at 5 in the morning while it was still dark. You know, and because I'm kind of nocturnal anyway, so that fit me perfectly. I mean, you know, it's not for everybody, but for me, it was great. I was able to handle it. And the part that really frustrates me is, you know, it's not as simple as just go get a job. You know, I wish it was as simple as just jumping to another warehouse or something, but you know, I just see myself getting fired somewhere else if they're going to be getting, you know, like that.
Well, you know, that was another thing too that I basically feared when they started all this mask crap, even before the official mandates in my area. Is the employers took it upon themselves to basically mandate this in-house. And I says, oh, shit, here we go. It's going to be another thing to nitpick and fire somebody over.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, uh-huh. And a lot of people fell victim to it, including me.
Oh, yeah. And counting.
And counting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet. I don't know.
A lot of well, I was just gonna say, like, a lot of the trolls and the critics say they're always they're always trying to make it seem like I'm the only one, and it's just all about me, and Brian is the only one who seems to have problems. Oh, I hate when they do that. It's like, dude, look around. I've done videos about this.
Well, they probably know about it. They're just being dumbasses.
Yeah, they're just active reality deniers.
Well, that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the other thing is too, you know, they implemented these damn restrictions, especially on sit-down restaurants. And I think a lot of places have it. Some of them, they're set up to where they can do like 50% capacity from what they used to. But a lot of them, I understand, are like a quarter capacity.
Oh, yeah.
And these joints are on the rocks now.
Oh, yeah. And have you seen these ridiculous looking like outdoor dining things? But I saw one that was completely enclosed. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, this is just a quote unquote outdoor, indoor extra dining room.
Yeah.
In the parking lot. Like that.
Yeah.
Like that's like a COVID tent.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's another thing too, you know, is they'll set up stuff like that. then they're trying to tell people, well, don't have that family reunion.
Yeah, I just like this is why I just like can't with the world sometimes, and like I did a very serious video, I'm sure you saw about the spike in suicides. It's this is driving, that this is causing. A lot of people just can't take this shit, and they've hit their limit, and they're done. It's crazy. It's sad.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You got to be
that's
a
the
real
thing
strong
is,
person to make it this far.
well, I mean, that's the thing is, the suicides are happening for numerous reasons. And I personally think, because the media in general has wanted to say that, well, it's a lot of young folks. And, look, I don't doubt that there are a lot of young folks. But I noticed how they're steering clear of talking about the middle age to basically seniors. And I think that there's a lot more of them than that's being reported that are doing suicide. And I think the reason behind it is financial shit.
Yeah,
it all comes down to financial.
Yeah, that's one of the main drivers, because financial problems can just lead you down a whole rabbit hole of problems, stresses, and all that fun stuff that just makes you depressed. Can lead to relationship problems, marriage, with marriages or whatnot, arguments with the spouse, all that shit, and just overall just negative.
Well, and that's another thing too, is I don't doubt that divorces are spiking.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure the hand in hand with everything else.
I mean,
I'm sure I could pull up articles.
Yeah. I know during the last economic collapse, divorce rates went through the roof. And of course, I had heard that around for a while. And on behalf of my sister, I went calling around looking for a custody lawyer for her. And while I had these people on the phone, I had, out of curiosity, had asked them, I says, hey, I've been hearing that it's like courts have been sticking in pretty much like a fast lane on, divorces or annulments. And one of the paralegals in the office said, yeah, we ain't seen no shit like this forever. One of them said that they'd been in the business for 15 years. They'd seen nothing. A couple of attorneys had said they've been in the business for over 30 years. They ain't seen divorce rates like that. Ever. So I can only imagine what the damage is going to be this time around. In fact, I wouldn't doubt the damage is already staggering just within the past 3 months.
Yeah, I know. And then I just, like I was mentioning earlier about the wave of, evictions and foreclosures, it's just like I keep hearing it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, basically. And I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. Time to buckle up again. Oh, my God. Like, just as I was, just as I took my shower from that last shit storm, another shit storm is raining upon us, even larger than the last one.
Oh yeah,
it's like,
yeah. My thing is I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. There was a New Year's parade. It's supposed to be a pretty famous one. What the hell is it? The Rose Parade.
The Rose Parade in Pasadena. Yeah, that's not too far from where I'm living right now. I got too many soccer trolls out there. That.
Yeah, I think it was last week I seen where they canceled that.
Yeah, I heard that. That's like the first time in like over 100 years.
Well, they said it was canceled 3 times, and it was, all 3 times, I guess, was in the 40s during WW2.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. But they said that, and of course they're flying under the COVID crap or whatever to cancel this. And I'm going, well, what the fuck? I mean,
yeah,
that's 5.5 months away.
Well, there's a lot of talk that this is that we could be in, for this, in the next summer, in the the next 18 months, even, or even
oh
more,
yeah,
up to
yeah,
3 years. I've heard.
yeah. I have heard that too. And then of course, well, another thing that I heard coming up for this fall winter, specifically about the Christmas season, is, and at this point, I'm going to have to basically go ahead and say that they're rumors. I haven't really gotten any definitive actual sources, and I don't really know the sources people have been hearing it from. I guess some of them talk about maybe some retail management have said it, but I really don't know. But I do know that it's going around that most of the retailers, particularly the big ones, they're not going to do any Black Friday stuff this year.
Oh.
They're not even going to bother decorating, and they're not going to be selling like imitation Christmas trees. They're not going to be selling decorations. They're not going to be selling anything Christmas. There's going to be no Christmas sales, no nothing. It's like when it comes to retail, effectively it's been canceled.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if that's really true.
Isn't that like a sign or something of the end times, like no Christmas or something?
Yeah, it seems to me there's something about that I really don't know.
That just sounds really ominous, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for them to go out and cancel a damn parade that is literally 5.5 months away, and then in my state there's been fall festivals and fairs and whatnot that they've already canceled. I would say they're definitely plotting to keep us under the shit. I don't see this going away anytime soon. Yeah. Especially if the big companies are deciding that they don't care about Christmas profits anymore. Of course, truthfully, the Christmas season in terms of retail profits have been shit for pretty much a decade anyway.
Oh yeah, that most definitely, yeah. There's a lot of deniers out there who would want to say otherwise. Oh, no, what are you talking about? The economy is greatest economy ever.
Yeah, I never bought that.
Yeah, me
I
either.
didn't buy it under the last two boobs, and I certainly don't buy it under this guy. I don't buy it.
Yeah, I just had to take my jab at those people.
When I look around, I don't really see it where it's all that wonderful. What I see is, the wages have basically been capped. In many cases, the wages have actually been cut. Mm-hmm. And then they're wanting to force people into 10, 12-hour fucking days. We're going backwards on labor.
Yeah.
Everything that our great... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say that those 10-hour shifts at Amazon were killing me, especially my feet. I would come home so sore.
Yeah.
I was still doing it. I was still kicking ass, but I was just saying it just made me so sore. I wish it was more like 8 hours, because I could handle 8 hours better than 10.
I know. Well, that's the other thing, too, is, everything that our great-grandparents fought for back in the specifically mid-30s, which was the 40-hour work week, the 8-hour shift, yeah, that's pretty much been wiped out. They've spent pretty much a decade cleaning that out.
Yeah, and like a lot of people are like working from home now, and I'm sure they're just kind of like they feel like they're tied to their job in their own home, and they just can't escape, and they're just working, and it's just everything just descended into madness.
Yeah, I have talked to a few of those people. One of them was actually a loan officer for a bank, and she was saying that it's kind of a pain in the ass. I guess they're not really working any more hours, at least in her job they're not. But it is a pain in the ass.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to comment, maybe, like some people might know what I'm talking about. Just the feeling of, that I guess I'll just have to explain a little bit of something first. That like I've heard, it's not recommended to have a TV in your bedroom, because it has to do somewhat with your body having to like associate the bedroom with sleep. instead of staying up
Yeah.
watching TV. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like trying to make a relation, instead of a TV, it's your job, and it's like
Well,
how
yeah.
how
Yeah.
would that affect you,
Yeah.
and I think that could also contribute to mentally breaking people, and
Yeah.
one of my commenters mentioned, I forget which one, it's mentally breaking people and pushing them to the edge, basically, along with
Well,
everything else going on top of it.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of them kind of dive full force into the idea that, hey, I'm home, it's my house, and they kind of tend to slip into the idea that maybe they can kind of work at their own leisure. And some jobs you can do that, other jobs you kind of can't really do that.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they run the risk of they may become a little less desirable for the job because they may become a little less productive.
Yeah.
But it's your house, you're distracted.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
At the end of the day, even though you're technically comfortable, you're also always looking over your shoulder and you're going out of your way trying to be as productive as possible. Thus, it turns into you're running yourself ragged.
Yeah.
Because you're trying like hell not to get distracted.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you are. So it piles the pressure on. For a lot of people, that really does.
Yeah, and it could build up anxiety and just drive people crazy.
Yeah.
Because
and then of course,
I was just going to throw in real quick that there's been videos done I've seen that of like companies talking about the software that they use to monitor their employees at home, and it's crazy. They can watch them through the webcams or whatever, just all kinds of shit.
Oh yeah, I mean it's at this point, a lot of people say, "Well, it's going Orwellian." It's like, fucker, it's already here.
Yeah, 1984 is 2020.
Exactly. I mean, it's already here. In fact, most of those systems have been operational for a decade and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's true. The further back in time you go, the more experimental they are. But hell, within the past 10 years, they've been up and running.
Yeah,
and they've proved themselves to be pretty solid systems.
Yeah,
that's why they're all dependent on it now.
But before I forget again, I wanted to throw in also. And I'm not sure if you've seen these, but you can look it up on YouTube. Just search for like news at home bloopers, something along those lines, and you just see that like what just happened earlier with Missy Fu walking across the desk while I was talking to you. I don't know if you're watching the actual stream, the video, but
no, I'm on a cell phone, so
okay.
I can't see the video when I'm on it.
Okay, yeah.
Or when I'm talking.
Yeah, but like the same thing happens with like professional news broadcasters, like in their bedrooms or their living rooms, like trying to do these news broadcasts and like the cat, walking through the scene or jumping on the camera.
Yeah, I know the banker I was talking to, she was saying that because basically she is worried about what's going on, but it's in terms of employment, because she was saying, look, every time something like this happens and they move people to home, when they tell them, okay, you can go work from home. The problem is in her particular branch, there's only 2 loan officers and she's one of them. And there's only one person left in that building, and they're just there to basically take a couple of calls. That's it. In other words, the office, the bank itself, that branch is closed. And she's saying that, they're basically realizing at this point that they don't really need that damn building anymore. They don't really need to sit there and pay taxes on that or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then, of course, there's a situation to where then they're questioning the employees. Like, wait a minute. If you guys can do this from home, well, shit, why can't just one of you do it from home? So basically, she's saying that she fears it's only a matter of time before her or her coworker gets fired. And I understand that, that is some hefty competition. And I mean, I know that happened previously, because as the housing market started to go down, I had a asshole of a cousin who was in the banking business. and I guess she was more of an underwriter. And well, they moved her to home. And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of well and good, but that doesn't seem to be good in the long run. Yeah, basically, she worked out of her house, I think, for a total of maybe 3 years, and then that was it. That was the end of the job, because they were laying everybody off in the savings and loan department. That was it. They no longer needed these people because they weren't making home loans anymore.
Damn.
So they just went through and figured out, who did we throw out of the office? How many of those do we actually really need? Maybe they can come back to the office, or maybe they can just, continue doing what they're doing. But at the end of the day, we really don't need to be paying all these people. There's not enough work to go around.
Yeah, that's a factor too. It's just a whole shitstorm. Just a whole soup of bullshit.
Well,
soup do bullshit.
And that's another thing too. Is that's another thing too. Is the retailers? Well, hell, they've been cutting people for years. They've cut everything back to the skeleton crew, and if they would have kept their normal hours going, they really honestly wouldn't be able to cut anybody else. But now with all the shortened hours, and in many cases just plain weird hours, they're going to end up cutting even more people. And rumor has it they've already done that in many locations. And of course this ranges from, Walmart, Target, whoever. I mean, this is throughout the industry. And yeah. A quick story. My thing is I think Walmart knew about this, and they're probably not the only retailer that knew about this, because let me tell you what, I tried the big hurry to get on the night shift there back in January of 2018, or not January, damn it, July. Well, I got an interview. Mind you, I'd been applying to these bastards off and on since I was 16.
I never had luck with Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but so, basically almost 20 years later, here I finally get an interview, right? So, and it was odd. It was odd as hell. It was, okay, so come in at, 11 p.m.
11 p.m.
What? Yeah, I'm like, what? I've never had an interview that late.
Wow,
they're like, yeah.
Neither of
us. Yeah, they're like, yeah. Yeah, they're like, just come on in and talk to third shift manager. Like, okay. Well, I go in there and talk to them. And I don't know, the interview kind of went okay. I mean, most of the time interviews suck, so who's to say, right? But at any rate, basically, she talked about how, okay, so you'll probably be hearing from, I don't know, fucking HR in a couple days. And then she says, well, and she slipped up and kind of threw something in. She said, well, thing is they aren't wanting to technically minimize third shift. See, they're in the process of, and the woman in the pre-interview on the phone told me basically the same thing. That at the time they were wanting to cut people off of third shift and make the stocking first and second shift. But they only wanted to keep a minimal amount on third. And I thought, well, that's okay because, fuck it, I'll take third. Of course, my plan for third was the 50-cent shift differential. Oh. Because first and second shift around here, you only get $11 an hour. But if you go to third shift, you get $11.50. So it ain't much, but, fuck, I'll take it,
Yeah, really.
And
every little bit
I needed it in a hurry. Right. So that was my plan. Well, then I don't know. They just said, to go ahead and just wait on them to call you. It might take a while. So I wait basically like a week and a half, and I'm going, okay, fuck this. So I call them. And they're like, no, we decided to move forward. And I'm like, okay, so what's the reason? They're like, yeah, well, we can't really tell you that. Like, well, what the fuck? It's about me. I think you can. No, they wouldn't say anything. I never got the job. And third shift went down even more. And it's bad.
Yeah.
And then, hop along a couple of years, and here we are. They're no longer a 24-hour store.
I noticed.
I think they definitely see it coming.
I noticed Winco around here. We used to be 24 hours. Now they close at midnight.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a grocery store not far from where I'm currently living, and just I don't know, basically maybe 3 blocks. And well, they used to open, I think, at like 8 or 9 in the morning. I think by 8 or 9 anyway. Well, here within the past, I'd say week and a half, here they started where they're not going to open until 11 a.m.
Oh,
and
what?
they're still closing, I think, at like 8 o'clock. I mean, you see, that's the thing is the shortened hours. I mean, all the shit tells me that's an inventory issue.
Damn, yeah.
They're basically just trying to limit what people can buy in a day's time.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that there's actually a lot of disruptions in the supply chain from just all kinds of levels. Not just one, but just just all over the chain. It's just problems, and it's just all coalescing to this to these shortages of goods, of products.
Well, the other thing is too is I mean, the food supply chain still isn't out of the woods. That's probably not going to be out of the woods. In fact, it's expected to get worse. Then, of course, fuel. A lot of people have overlooked oil. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's definitely catching up with that. What is really going to happen with that in the near future, I don't really know, but I can say that by the time we get into October, you should notice a difference. And I don't think it's going to be a good one. So I can say that I do fear that winter prices are probably going to be a little higher. And that's the reason why that's kind of a big deal is because at least back here in the Midwest, particularly northern Midwest, usually it's summertime that they want to soak you on the prices because that's when everybody's out and about driving around and everything else. But of course, this year we have a low demand, especially when you figure in the industry, there's a very low demand. So there was the oil collapse. I'm sure you heard of that back in April.
Oh yeah, went negative.
Which they've artificially attempted to pump up since then, but it's not holding very well. I mean, it's very unstable. So at the end of the day, basically, let's just say that the long and short would be if it ends up costing them a lot more to pull it out of the ground than they can really sell it for, then you're going to see prices go up. They're just going to have to start overpricing it.
Oh, yeah.
And even then, it's probably not really going to help. But the other thing is too is the low demand. They're already using that as a reason to float the price up higher. Technically, the fair price of that shit really, I would say at the pump around here, the fair price of it shouldn't be any more than maybe $1.20 something. But on average, we're paying anywhere. It just depends on the time of the week. Anywhere between $2.19, sometimes $1.99, $2.19, clear up to $2.30 or $2.40, depending upon, especially if it's a holiday weekend or if there's something going on or whatever, they might jack it up. I mean, it has one hell of a fluctuation rate.
Yeah, well, around here, I noticed lately it's actually getting closer to $3.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Out west, I know that, back in 2005, I took a trip to a cousin's house. He too turned out to be an asshole in Colorado. And he was telling me, that, well, basically there's a refinery on every corner. And, it was the first time I'd ever been out there. And I got to driving around and I found that, there really is a hell of a lot of refineries. Well, then I got to reading up on it and found out that Southwest in general has a hell of a lot of refineries. So I take it that you guys live in kind of the land of refineries. And yet for, 15 years or better? I mean, because I know in 2005, a lot of places was paying $4 to $6 a gallon. And I think out in California, it was in some places, what was it, like $7? I mean, it was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I didn't have a car then, but I remember when it got really crazy expensive. I was like, damn.
And I mean, to me, it makes no sense because, I mean, the refineries are right there in your guys' backyard. You would think that from the Dakotas on down through California would be totally cheap fuel. But for whatever reason, it's not. It's like breaking you guys over the coals. Now, back here on this side of the Mississippi, we really didn't have it any better. I mean, we didn't have California prices, but when you consider the incomes, it's pretty much right up there. I mean, our rate of inflation is a little different because we tend to make a little less on the hour, but then again, our rent is considered to be cheaper. It's a funny thing. But basically, I guess what I'm saying is when we're forced to pay $4 and $5 a gallon, it's the equivalent to you guys paying 7 or 8. I mean, at least that's what it feels like back here. Now, if you guys came back here and was paying that, you guys would be like, "Oh shit, this is cheap." To us, it's definitely a ridiculous price, and I know that year in September, my cousin did return the visit over Labor Day weekend, and he came from Colorado, and he actually drove here. And of course, you know, he went through a lot of states to get here, and he was talking about the mad gas prices. It's like, you know, I think somewhere in St. Louis, it was like Missouri. I think he did go through St. Louis, and he was saying it was like Missouri was it was kind of the cheapest. And I was like, yeah, actually, Missouri can be a bit cheaper on things. And but then it was like everywhere else, it just like shot right back up to $5.
Oh yeah.
And we thought his mom was coming up. She was in South Carolina at the time, and we called her up like, "What the fuck, are you coming?" She's like, "No, not at like $4 or $5 a gallon. I'm not." I'm like, "What the fuck? You make all kinds of money."
Oh shit.
But yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so I don't know as if those prices are really going to skyrocket that high. But I will say that they seem to have an anti-we do anything agenda going on here. So I suppose if they wanted to further everybody staying home and give them even more of a reason and kick them in the shins on even more economics, then yes, they're going to definitely raise the gas prices.
Damn. Well, I guess everybody who's lucky enough to have a Tesla is going to be really happy.
Well, the only problem is then they'll want to raise the damn electric rate.
You just can't win.
You know? No. That's the thing. They've got us coming or going. I mean,
yeah, no shit.
I don't know what the hell we're going to do.
It's fucking
I mean, you know, and of course well, I don't know. It's been the age-old question is where we go from here. I mean,
the hell? In a handbasket?
That's not where it is. Those are where it seems to be heading. I don't know what we're going to do.
I mean, at least I got my cat over here to, you know, that's the main reason I got her is, you know, kind of like an emotional support therapy cat that I diagnosed myself and prescribed myself.
Well, I don't blame you.
It's actually surprisingly cheap, I gotta say. I know I just said like I'm behind on, you know, 2 months on car payments, but I mean, just like day to day living expenses for a cat, especially one that small, it's really cheap.
Yeah.
And the 99 only, they have a lot of cat shit.
Oh yeah.
Like I
mean they're not too.
And they have like bags of cat litter for 99 cents, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. We don't have any 99-cent stores here. We've got what's deemed stores, but I think about the only damn thing you can find in there for $1 is like a fucking junk-ass pinwheel or something. I mean...
Shit, I remember those.
And, of course, well, some of the snacks. I mean, you can get some snacks for $1, but, I mean, anything actually useful, you really half can't. I mean...
Shit, that sucks.
Although I will say they're not too bad on cat. Most everything else is not exactly what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, actually, Winco is pretty good too. Have you been to Winco? Do you have any of those around you?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, anyone watching? Actually, I got a bottle of Winco ketchup over here. Maybe I can show the audience. See that? Winco Foods.
We got Family Dollar and Dollar General and Dollar Tree, which Dollar Tree actually owns Family Dollar.
Oh yeah, we have they out here too.
Yeah, they're nationwide. I actually used to work for Family Dollar, Oh my God, is that a... Oh, fuck, that's an evil, terrible corporation.
I was going to say that must have been fun.
Oh, those guys are bastards.
I believe it. I believe it.
It's shit.
I think pretty much just about every job is shit for the most part, unless you're super lucky.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, and then, of course, I don't know, Dollar General, they were hired for management one time, and I was like, oh, well, shit, I did that over at Family Dollar. I could probably do it there. I went through and read their description and all their fucking, oh my God, it wasn't even really a job description as much as a bitching at you. You didn't even have the job yet, and they're standing there bitching at you. It's like, you do better, and this has to be, and what the fuck, I'm like, okay, fuck you, you're the same as them. I'll go somewhere else.
They're just rage-inducing jobs.
Well, the thing is, I mean, good God, we're all human. We make a mistake once in a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're off on a fucking deposit count, they want to flip out. And it's like, what the hell? I mean, it was 220s that stuck together, asshole. The money's there. Just move on.
I know. Damn.
And I don't know, I got pissed off at one point, and I told him, I was like, well, here's the deal. If you want a CPA, you're looking at the wrong guy. Furthermore, if I was a certified public accountant, you sure as hell wouldn't pay me, $12 an hour. You'd be paying my ass about 36.
Oh, shit.
I mean, well, and then of course, that's the other trend that spun out of last decade too, is they're piling on even more work, and then they come up with these ridiculous time limits. Everything is constantly understaffed, so not only are you running all the store yourself, but you're for the help you got, most of the time they're not really help. They can't run a register for shit. I mean, it's not their fault. I honestly really hate to complain, but at the same time, you can't half get anything done. You got customers coming in there over dumb shit. Like, I remember it was late January. We had this fucking crackhead come in there trying to hand us a faded fucking receipt, wanting to take back the damn shirt, has this big long spiel of bullshit about how it's been out in the garage, and then trying to say that it had, what the hell was it, bed bugs. But then somehow the fucking bed bugs came from the dollar store that they had purchased it at.
Oh my God.
And I took a look at the receipt, and it's half faded, but I find the date, and I go, I'm sorry, I can't take this back. This is way out of date. You bought this in the middle of December. Forget it. And then wants to freak out on me. Well, I've been to whatever amount of stores, and I'm going, well, I can't help it. You're going to have to tell your dealer that you can't come up with the fucking money tonight.
Oh, God.
In the story.
Oh, shit.
Don't blame me. It ain't my rules. And besides, you're talking about how it's got bed bugs. I want that motherfucker on my counter.
I know, right? Trying to give me bugs and shit.
And, well, what gets me is this store was in Newark, Ohio, and this dumb broad apparently drove all the way, pardon the expression, I know, but this idiot drove all the way from, Hilliard, and talking about how they first went clear up to Utica. I mean, you'll have to probably find all this on the map. But at any rate, yeah, went clear up to Utica from Hilliard, which is on the other side of Columbus, north side, and then ends up at my store.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and that ain't the only one. I mean, we used to get idiots like that all the time that would drive around looking for some uninspected dumbass to take this crap back and give them their money when it's way out of date. Like, I'm not doing that.
You don't get paid enough to do to do that shit, to put up with that.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think the damn shirt. Well, it seems to me that it was a shirt, and I think there might have been some sort of pair of pants or something in there. I don't think it even totaled hardly $10. And it's like, come on, you just burn up like $50 worth of gas, you idiot. But then again, I mean, half of those people, the tweakers and whatnot, you can't really believe half of what they tell you just to begin with.
I know, right?
But on the other hand, it's like, they're probably just tweaking, so maybe they really did drive all that.
Maybe.
Dumbass. Yeah. Then, of course, the rate of theft was totally terrible. I was an assistant manager, so they're trying to say that part of my job is to act as security. I'm like, really?
You're just
for $12 an hour? Yeah.
Everything
for $12 an hour.
And you get paid minimum wage, and you have to fulfill a position of like 3 people.
Well, our job was literally everything. The manager's job was literally, you stock the shelves, you clean the store, you have to count the money, you have to, do the deposit. Anything goes wrong with the computer, you got to figure it out. And then they wanted us to act as security. Now, the truth of it is by the actual company policy, I can't legally really say, well, at least company policy, I can't say anything to the thief unless I either A, see them, but even then I'm not really supposed to. I have to wait until they're about through the door before I can say anything. But my boss is standing there wanting me to do all this shit. And one day I'm standing in the soda aisle and I'm stocking soda, and there's coolers over the way running, and these things are older shit. I mean, the location I worked in was like straight out of 1998. More like 96. And they're making a bunch of noise. I can hear her shrill, irritating voice talking about something, but I really didn't know what was going on, and I wasn't concerned because to me it didn't sound like she was shrieking. Well, then she all of a sudden shows up my aisle, wants to bitch me out that I didn't poke my head out every now and again and see what she's rambling to people about. And here, what it was is she ended up in a dispute with, I guess, basically one of the local teams. And she was all pissed off that I didn't know about it, and I wasn't backing her up. And I told her, I says, a long time ago, I says, well, look, I says, I'm unarmed, and I told you a long time ago, if I don't get to bring my Magnum to the game, I don't play. Because half of these people are fucking doped up. And I tried to tell you a long time ago, don't run your mouth to. And then she was trying to say it was my job. I said, bullshit. They're worried about it that much, they can get some real security in here.
Damn.
It ain't worth it to me for $12 an hour.
Shit.
I mean, I can handle myself in a fight, but I'm certainly not going to pick it.
Yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, well, and that's the thing too, because trust me, I mean, I don't like a thief, and I would love to do harm to them. But the problem with this is that, unfortunately, it's not how the world works, particularly from a legal standpoint. So even if it is technically in self-defense, do you think the company is going to represent us? Fuck no.
Oh, my God.
We're going to get fired. We're going to get fired, and we're going to be the ones to take the rap for it.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So there's no way in hell I'm getting involved. It's, I only said something to one customer, and that was because it was so obvious. Standing at the counter, serving customers, there's a long line of these people, and you wouldn't believe how many middle and upper middle class actually shop at the dollar store. And these people are standing there. This guy's coming through in a Carhartt coat, and he's got something protruding out of the back of his pants up through the coat. And I said, that looks like a damn 2-liter. One of my coworkers said something to me. And I said, excuse me, sir. I said, what do you got under there? And he just keeps on casually walking. And he says, my soda, and went right out the door and right across the parking lot. Customers were standing there. Yeah, customers were standing there staring at the sky out the window. And they all had a glassy-eyed look across their face like, why the fuck am I standing in line paying for this shit?
I know, right?
I mean, and to me, that the gravity of that moment really just goes to show the thin veneer of society. It's like they see the obvious thief get away with it, and they're sitting there going, why am I following the rules?
Yeah, wow. That must have been real interesting to see the look on their faces contemplating that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Man.
I mean, that place was nuts.
Yeah.
And the company was nuttier. I mean, the company was totally nutty.
Oh.
And, of course, that place was, well, amongst many others. They were another one that, oh my God, they totally pursued the food stamp money. You wouldn't believe the amount of fucking threatening emails we would get every week. But especially towards the end of the month and around the middle of the month. Because are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know, some people for whatever reason don't get theirs until the middle of the month, but then a lot of them do come out first of the month. So we're getting all these fucking emails talking about how, well, you better have this out for EBT. You better have this ready. You better.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, if district comes in there and you don't have this set up and this isn't stocked and this isn't out, then you're all fired. I mean,
damn.
And I was still like, yeah, fuck it. District ain't coming down here. I mean, I would still stock it. I mean, I did my job. It's just a matter of I certainly didn't get all panicky about it. Now, my manager, she did. I mean, she was, this has got to be done like right now. And I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking get right on that. I mean, I'll get right on that right after I get this other crap that has to be done right now.
I actually busted my ass really hard at Amazon, man, and look how far that got me.
Well, that's why I'll do a lot of the times the bare minimum, if not maybe a little over.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to start doing from now on. Fuck that. Yeah. I'm just going to do the bare minimum to get by.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the work itself of that job I actually liked. I mean, the work wasn't bad. And the people weren't too bad. I mean, for the most part, the people were okay. But the company was terrible. The manager I had, she was terrible. She was a shit stir. She spread rumors about everybody and was, I don't know, all about firing people basically the minute she hired them. I mean, it was just, she was fucking childish. And I mean, there was aspects of it that was just complete asinine. But for the most part, the work itself really wasn't that bad. But the company is who made it miserable. And then, unfortunately, I ended up with an injury, not a work injury. It's just, I don't even to this day really know what the hell went wrong. Could be a pinched nerve. I don't know. I never could get to the bottom of it because the doctors are dumbasses. But at the end of the day, one of their insurance handler or something called me. I didn't even realize we had insurance. They didn't tell us anything. When I got hired, it was pretty much, hi, welcome to your register. Now figure it out. I'm serious. They never gave us a tutorial of the operating system or nothing. And, there was no handbook copy. I didn't even know they had a handbook until one day I got rid of over some bullshit. And I told them, I was like, yeah, well, where the hell's the handbook? And they're like, well, it's online. I'm like, okay, can I access it from my house? They're going, well, no. I go, well, fuck you. You ain't going to pay me to sit there and read that.
Oh, wow. That's nuts.
It was rigged. I think that company just, I don't know. I got the major impression that it's like they just hire people to fire them. And I still have a friend that works in another location, and he's actually a general manager of that store, and I'll go in about every day or so, and what's the corporate crap today? And this guy's he's pretty much like the cartoon character Squidward. Oh, he is, man.
Oh, wow.
He's funnier than hell. I mean, it's and I know he was one of them that talked about how he wasn't going to enforce the mask bullshit.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's another thing too. As an Uber driver, I'm supposed to be enforcing the masks on my passengers, which I don't do.
Yeah.
If they get in without a mask, I give zero fucks. I just drive them to their destination just like any other passenger.
Yeah, well, I don't think many people really care about it. I mean, by now, I think most people know it's nonsense anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
think,
actually had a couple passengers tell me that I could just go ahead and pull mine down.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are pretty straightforward about it. I don't think it's really that big of a deal, but unfortunately, they've got a lot of people panicked, and there's hysteria, and then some of them, I think they've done it because I don't know, they think it's fashionable or some shit, and I don't know. I think everybody has their reasons, and some of them, I think they are legitimately scared. I mean, I think the hysteria has gotten to the point where some of them really are, either they don't know what to believe or they're just like, you know what, maybe as a precaution. So, I mean, I try not to bash them too much, but at the same time, I think some people have gotten ridiculous. I know about every day on Facebook, that's all it is. Every day over there,
it's just a very slippery slope, and it's incredibly divisive. It's just it's creating so much tension within society because of how divisive it is and how strongly people feel about it either way.
Well, I think that's what it's designed to do. I think that it's just another damn thing to divide people.
Yeah. I've been kind of thinking that too, actually.
Yeah, it's just another damn thing to keep us distracted, because if we're all arguing about something as stupid as a fucking face mask, then, think about what we're not paying attention to.
Exactly. Yes.
And of course, I mean, this is the deal, is there's a reason why the government keeps records, statistics, and, they go and do a bunch of demographic studies and things like that. There's a reason they do that. And it's largely so they can use it against us at a later date. And I think they figured out something that I think most people could figure out if they thought about it for 2 seconds, and that is that in most neighborhoods, even, people will argue over the dumbest shit. And I think they figured out that we live in a society where in any given neighborhood on any given day, probably less than 5% of a typical neighborhood would agree that on a sunny day the sky is blue. You know what I mean? It's that bad. So technically, to me, it's kind of no real surprise that there is huge fighting over the mask.
Yeah, really, exactly. Yeah, that was an excellent way of putting that.
I mean, yeah, I'll be honest. I guess I've done my fair share of arguing about it. I mean, it's kind of hard not to get sucked in.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But at the end of the day, it's after about a few times doing it or better. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody's picked their side, and that's just where they're at.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Of course, I don't know. I think a lot of people are just kind of waiting on this to blow over and this and that. But by now, I think that's.
I think a lot of patience is wearing thin, though. It's something interesting that I want to add. As long as I still got a good connection here, about the COVID parties. I left. I kind of copy pasted it a few times in the comments, but I was just saying, it's kind of hard to care anymore when you're unemployed, falling behind on bills, and about to lose everything. And I actually started getting a lot of likes on those.
Well, that's the thing, and it's because everybody's literally going into the same boat. Yeah. See, I think that's the other thing. I think part of why a lot of people have willingly taken up the great debate, not just masks, but other things. And I think the reason why society in general is kind of fallen for these arguments is because it serves as a distraction. They know that they're being distracted, but some people, I think, want to be distracted. And the reason being is because they know that, hey, there's going to become a day where they can't really afford the internet anymore. And that day is looming. I think that it gets worse. I think that there's a day where a third of your town could literally be on the street. I think that there's a day coming where maybe you really will have some housing, but you may not necessarily, have a meal every day. I mean, these are problems that a lot of people really just don't want to think about. They don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And I admit, they're pretty fucking negative. I mean, who really wants to deal with it? But on the other hand, how are you to overcome it if you don't grab it by the damn horn and at least give it a little thought?
I'm actually really glad that, you know, I don't know if you remember that video that I did a while back where I was showing off like a little food supply that I like, you know, my food supply stock.
Yeah.
My rice and beans and that kind of stuff and some water, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not much, but I'm glad I got, you know, at least that while I was still working when I was able to afford that stuff.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing, you know, is I know for pretty much a decade, you know, there's been the whole prepper community and stuff like that. And, you know, people, you know, gearing up and this and that. And, you know, those guys have honestly taken a lot of shit. And, you know, look, I mean, I know some people can have some views that others disagree with, but aside from the politics of the situation, I don't think that they're wrong. I think that, you know what, maybe you should put together a little care package while you can do it.
Yeah, no,
I don't think that that's a bad idea.
Yeah, no shit. I totally recommend that to everyone watching this right now if you haven't done so already, and you can still do it right now if you can.
Yeah, I mean, you know, go hit up a dollar store or in your area, 99-cent store, and pick up, oh, hell, even the basics, you know, load up on cans of tuna. You know?
Oh, yeah.
That'll get you through. You know, that's really good stuff.
Get this one behind me through.
I mean, I mean, no matter what happens, you're going to have to eat. That's just the nature of the human body.
They actually gave us last time at the food bank a few cans of tuna.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's cheap and it's actually, you know, well, it's a good source of protein, you know.
Yeah.
So it is good for you. I mean,
that's why I got beans too, because beans are good for protein.
Oh yeah. Well, and on top of that, they stick with you.
I would say a good one is water. I mean, I know it's incredibly basic, but you want to make sure you have a lot of good drinking, you know, clean, purified drinking water.
Oh yeah.
Gallons and gallons and gallons of it.
Yep. Yeah. Especially because you want to use some of that for cooking.
I was just going to say, yeah, for the rice and the beans. Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, this is the thing. I mean, I think a lot of people for a long time have been bearing their heads, but I think as we've moved through the summer and as we continue to move through time in general, I think it's becoming more and more apparent that, yeah, you know, it's best to try and put things back like water and food, and you know, you might even try to figure out alternatives where you can go, because if shit gets pretty hairy, the last damn place you want to be is smack dab in the middle of the city, I would say.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely, yeah.
I mean, I know that camping isn't everybody's cup of tea, but it might be better than outright chaos. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of anybody's guess, but at the same time, it's not good.
Yeah.
Things just aren't going a very good way. And of course, you know, it doesn't help. People are pissed off about this, they're pissed off about that. And every day you got the politicians agitating, you got the media agitating. I mean, you know, people are, you know, you got all these jerks feeding the fire. The people are caught in between, and I don't think a lot of people recognize that they're basically cannon fodder, and they're caught in between, and they're basically left to stoke the fire. I mean, this is the thing. We really are contributing to our own demise in many respects.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
And, I mean, I don't know. There's talking about all kinds of stuff on an official level. I mean, I guess in some crowds that would be considered, kind of going out on a limb. But I know that there's all kinds of clips and videos, and some of them are in very long form about Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is up there giving his little speeches, and yeah, I mean, this guy is literally basically talking about fucking chipping people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I mean, I know that, a lot of people, they don't really care about that topic. They don't want to hear it. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I suppose I can leave it alone. But at the same time, it's odd. You know what I mean? It's just really.
I mean, like,
it is creepy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure about you, and I'm sure some of my subscribers, my viewers know this. Some probably don't. I mean, I'm not religious. I don't follow any particular organized religion. I don't follow the Bible. I haven't even read the Bible. But someone else. I don't know. Some other call trying to come through. Hold on.
Oh.
I'll just decline that one. It's a private number. I don't even know who that is. But oh man, what a world! What a world! I'm getting kind of tired right now too, though. It's been a really great show, though. You should call in on the next one too.
Well, I'll definitely try. I mean, it has been real. It's good to talk. I mean, it's good to talk about it. I mean, we're in a time right now where
because otherwise we'll go crazy.
Yeah.
This is the place to vent. Network 126, like I said earlier. If you missed the live stream, vent in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're living in a time of high frustrations. Now,
very.
That said, I can say that technically society's been through that before. I mean, if you looked at a lot of the high tensions in the 60s and 70s and things like that. But, I guess to a degree, it was still an overall better time compared to what we have now. I mean, hell.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's just totally different now, and like I still even have the trolls, the get a job trolls, those types.
Yeah.
Like, do you not realize like we're in an entirely different economic, financial, societal environment right now? This is nothing like before. It's not that simple.
Well, and that's like, for instance, I've seen these comments, and in fact, I come across one the other day, where this fella, he was an older guy. I don't know, he could have very well been Gen X, Boomer, I don't know, but regardless, he was talking about how he was paid $3 and something an hour in 1986 was minimum wage, and which I think is bullshit, because I think by 1986 it was, I think, $4.35 an hour. But regardless, he was wanting to compare 1986's minimum wage to today, and I'm going, well, you can't really do that, because back in 1986, I mean, you could have rented a one-bedroom apartment for, around here, probably, tops maybe a couple $100 a month.
Wow.
Maybe. Well, I know my parents rented a two-bedroom upstairs apartment in a duplex back in 86, 87, and it was, I think, $198 a month, something, or $197, I think. But I know that there was even some cheaper places around. So at the end of the day, I mean, hardly a couple $100 was rent. Okay. Gasoline was literally about 65 cents a gallon around here. In fact, there is video proof of that. Somebody took a video camera through the town back in 1985 and filmed. And it's on YouTube. And and it's pretty cool, because in that video I get to see our local mall being built. I get to see a lot of businesses that no longer existed that I can remember as a kid, as a very small kid. I can remember going by them or going into them. But yeah, they quickly disappeared. At any rate, basically, gasoline was, hardly 65 cents a gallon at the time. Your water bill was probably maybe $10 $10-15 a month. You had, electric might have been a little higher at maybe, $20-25 a month. I mean, especially back then, because you had nothing to plug into it. I mean, a lot of people back here in the Midwest, they didn't own computers.
Oh.
So they weren't running a computer all the time. And then back then it was common to shut the computer off when you were done with it, So you didn't really have, all the shit hooked up to the electric back then. I mean, basically what you had was a hi-fi stereo with a record player on it, and you had a television. I mean, that was probably, the TV was probably the highest voltage user in the house. I mean, outside of if you use the oven to make dinner, if you paid a gas bill, it probably wasn't anything over $25-30. In the summer months, it was probably not even 10 or 15 for hot water. I mean, your fucking water bill was cheap as well, like I'd said. I mean, I guess if you were living in that time, I could see to where they would totally say it was a challenge because, hey, look, I'm sure it wasn't a cakewalk. But it was also a time to where you could make minimum wage and get 40 hours a week. And you still had time off. You could pay all your bills. You could still drink some beers with your buddies. You could still go out and have a good time. I mean, fuck, you didn't pay what? Maybe a couple, $3 for a movie? Especially at the cheap seats. Fuck, I can remember the cheap seats were still open when I was a kid in the mid-90s, and it's like, if you went there, it was like, in the mid-90s, the price went up, but it was only maybe like $4.
Wow.
If you went to the one in our mall, it was like an afternoon matinee might have been like, at the time, maybe $6, something like that. Evening show was like 7-8. The cheap seats, you could catch a show there in the evening for literally, maybe about $4, $3.54, something like that.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is the thing. And then it's like, a 12-pack of beer was hardly $3.50, and that was name brand shit. I mean, you could drink a good beer back then, and you didn't need to be rich to do it. And, and I know a lot of people don't smoke, but, cigarettes, I can remember even in the mid-90s, those things were, maybe for Marlboro, it was like maybe $1.20, $1.10, $1.20 at the most.
Damn.
I mean, so common individuals, no matter what he was into, you could afford to live. You probably wasn't rich. You might not have had the best car on the block, but, fuck, you could get out of your parents' so you could do something. There was something to do. In our lifetime, I do think that we got handed the shaft. We really did. They made promises that they couldn't keep, and personally, I guess I was always accused of being a bit of a negative individual anyway, so most of those promises coming out of the 90s, I thought they were bullshit. I didn't really buy them. And thank God I didn't, because I think I got a little less disappointed than others. But at the end of the day, I mean, I do believe that we really did get handed the shaft. I think that, I got cousins, 4 years older than me, 6, 8, 9 years older than me even. I think those guys probably had the last of the fun. I mean, we got to have we got a taste of it, but I don't think we had the fun that they got to have. I mean, by the time I was a teenager, you could, if you even played even the smallest prank, somebody was going to panic. They were going to call the cops, and make it. You couldn't have the fun that people had. Fucking even 20 years before we were born. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, and then of course, it's like today, actually for about the past 15 years, they've wanted to bitch. Why are all the young people sitting in the house playing video games? It's like, well, because if they go outside, they get arrested.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean, what the fuck what is there for them to do?
Yeah. You go out and you try to talk to a woman and she gets all offended and out.
Oh, I know. That's something else I'm fed up with too, is all this fucking offended shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. I'm done with that crap. I mean, I'm not gonna walk on eggshells. That's just bullshit.
I know.
I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Every time you go out, you're walking on eggshells.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can understand trying to be polite and nice and stuff like that, but, I'm not going to roll out the red carpet just special for this, and then I'm not going to have to go take a fucking language course to make sure that I don't anger someone. Fuck that. I'm tired of that crap.
I know, right?
Oh, it's highly annoying. I mean, fuck that. I'll just go fishing by myself. I don't give a damn. I mean, that's what I'd rather do.
I know.
I mean, I never had much interest in, going to the mall anyway. It's bullshit. And
I used to do that a long time ago.
Well, that was the thing. I mean,
numbers.
Yeah, we all used to, but at the same time, I don't know. I couldn't really get into it all that much. Number one, in my area, most of who hung out at the mall was the snobby preppies, and
I never actually really bought anything. It was just mostly just to walk around in the air conditioning building and talk to girls. That's really all.
Oh man, I can totally remember that out of the '90s too. It's like if you didn't have air conditioning at your house and it was a hot ass day.
Oh yeah,
it was like, hey, store.
Yeah, even the grocery store, shit.
Yeah, I can remember that. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go to the store.
Yeah, the grocery store feels great because they keep those really cold usually.
Yeah,
and then especially if you go walk.
Although I have noticed over the years. Yeah, although I have noticed over the years, a lot of these places have gotten real cheap ass about the air conditioning.
Oh, Winco, mentioning them again, they actually have literally a walk-in beer cooler, and it's this big old room that you're allowed to open the door and walk in. In fact, there's a big sign that says that customers are welcome to walk in, and it has a bunch of shelves of all these different beers. But it's this big room, and it's so cold in there, and I could just imagine on the hottest day just going and chilling in there, literally chilling.
Yeah, it's like around here. A lot of stores call those beer caves, and I know a lot of the gas stations and stuff started putting them in, and it is nice.
I've never seen one at a gas station.
Yeah, they ended up rebuilding a couple of gas stations in my area, and they stuck a couple of those in, and they are pretty nice. But
actually, I wonder if I should do like a little undercover video tour of that.
Hell yeah.
I know Winco is really, really finicky about filming. Like anytime, like any employee catches you, like even looking like you're filming anything, that's like they're trained to come and attack and be like, "You're not allowed to film in here."
Yeah, and I understand that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I love Winco. Otherwise, it's great, but I really hate that little annoying policy.
Well, my thing is I think it's bullshit for any of these places to not let you film, because it's kind of like, A, what the fuck are they hiding? Yeah. And B, go screw, because you're filming us.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
and I remember one time it was just because I wanted to take a picture of something like a price of something that was so cheap. I just wanted to show my friend.
Yeah.
And they were like, you can't, no pictures, no filming, or whatever she said. And I was like, well, I'm just showing this to my friend of like and how cheap this is, so they can come and buy some too. But they just went in this like broken record loop. You're not allowed to film. You're not allowed to take pictures.
See, that's part of the reason why I do not fit the corporate model.
Yeah.
In retail, I mean, I love retail, but management generally does not like me, because I will not strut up to customers and say stupid shit. I just will not. I mean, that's like, for instance, one time I worked at CVS, and I had this annoying supervisor, and it was third shift, 24-hour store. And you wouldn't believe the idiots that show up in the middle of the night. Oh my God. It's like, I was fucking with some of them one night, teasing them like, they were younger than I was. I mean, these guys were, I don't know, late teens. They were a combination of like late teens, early 20s. And I'm going, what the hell are you doing in a pharmacy this time of night? And what does this have? And it was one of those oblong metal bucket things sitting on the counter, and they were full of those, those little square caramels. So it's like right there at the customer's face. But I'm informed pretty much in front of the customer that I'm supposed to upsell them. Oh, I hate corporate upselling.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw their campaign looking signs, that the politicians use and shit, So you got a bunch of them out by the road talking about CVS flu shot, here, get your fucking flu shot. Then there's an electronic sign that everybody's bombarded with as they're going down the main drag. Talking about flu shot, you can get your flu shot here, all insurance is accepted. Then there's a big fucking banner on the side of the building, basically in front, talking about flu shot. Then I don't know what the CVSs look like in your area, but the typical CVS around here, you have a set of outer doors, and you got a set of inner doors. So you got two two sets of double doors you walk through. Well, there's round stickers on all four of them damn doors talking about the flu shot, and they're at eye level with the customer. Then throughout the inter part of the store, there's banners hanging in there, and there's the bullshit signs hanging from the ceiling talking about the flu shot, get your flu shot. And so my boss is ragging my ass about it. You don't sell flu shot. I'm like, well, a lot of these guys, man, they've already come from the farms. They're curious fish that sell flu shot. I'm like, bullshit. Finally, I do it. And of course, I get yelled at by the customer. I don't want a goddamn flu shot. And I'm like, well, yeah, I agree, but they tell me I have to say it. Of course, most of the time I did, and I was just like, fuck this shit. I ain't doing that ever again. I even told him, I was like, fuck you, I ain't doing this shit.
I don't blame you.
I was like, it's bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, told them, I said, well, come on, it's plastered all over the damn building, inside and out. You got a big sign out there. You got 70 smaller signs hanging around the perimeter of the property. I mean, I'm pretty sure they know you sell a fucking flu shot. If they wanted it, they would have got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't try to jam it down their throats.
Well, especially because they're ready to bite your head off. They don't want to hear about that damn thing.
I know, right?
I mean, and it's annoying. I hate it. It's like, that's part of the reason why I hate going to the doctor, too, is every time I go in there, you want a flu shot? I'm like, no, I don't want a goddamn needle in my arm. Go away.
Get your needle away from me.
Yeah. I don't want none of that.
You're like, nope.
I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, well, the other thing that makes it even more ridiculous is my sister took one of those adult education courses. And it was for a position called medical tech. And when she started this course, I'm thinking, well, okay, that's all right. Okay, maybe it'll get you in the door, but gee, I don't know. Kind of seems like maybe they're wanting to phase that out. Of course, I didn't want to be negative, be like, maybe you should find something else. So I just kind of shut up about it. Well, she ended up doing an externship over at a doctor's office not far from here. And I guess those people turned out to be the biggest group of assholes ever, which one of my old doctors was over there. And yeah, she is a bitch. Oh. But at any rate, basically, she goes through the externship, never got a job. She had perfect attendance, awesome grade. But then our cousin who missed a bunch, she ends up with a job in it. But then ultimately, they're trying to phase out the position. So it's like these guys wasted a bunch of time and money taking this shit up. But the other thing is they were training them in this course to give shot, which was stupid because technically the medical techs aren't allowed to give shot. But then that's even more stupid because you go to a damn pharmacy and you can get a flu shot, and I don't know, I guess the pharmacist gives it to you? Well, what the hell does a pharmacist know about giving somebody a shot?
Yeah, there you go, really.
So they won't let a medical tech do it, even though they're trained to do it. But somehow you can go and a pharmacy employee will give you a shot, and that's perfectly fucking legal. So, COVID is one agenda, but the flu shot's been an even bigger one. Well, I say that because, I can remember back around the time I was 16, when they kind of started to really make a big deal of it. But it wasn't kind of that big of a deal. I was like, in the fall or near the fall, maybe around September, if you went to the doctor, they would casually ask, hey, you want to get a flu shot? It's like, no. They'd be like, okay. And then they would tell you, well, okay, so there's a small window in time to get the flu shot and for it to actually be effective. In other words, it's like you have to get it primarily before November. They quit giving it out in November. Then, hop along a couple more years, it's like you could go to the doctor and get one. Clear up through, I don't know, December, I think. Then, they took it to where you could get it damn near up to March. Then, all of a sudden, they let the pharmacies sell it. The pharmacies went on the same situation to where they quit selling them in March. Then all of a sudden, you can get it at the doctor's office or the pharmacy all year round, and they're pushing it all year around. I mean, it's very weird.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, I know that some people don't particularly care for that topic, and that's fine. I'm just kind of rambling about what I remember.
I mean, this has been a very, very interesting, really good show. Most definitely, for sure. I'm even getting comments. People are saying that it's a good show.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
And I was able to get the microphone all set up, all like perfectly with the phone here. So audio's good according to the audience.
That's good.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
I was gonna say we should definitely do this another time too, because we're just about to hit the 2-hour mark of the live stream.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's a really good one, and actually the longer ones are good for my AdSense revenue too. I did notice I got a notification of a weak connection earlier. I'm not sure if we lost any of the conversation earlier. It seems okay now, but I didn't get any comments saying that it was buffering. So maybe hopefully it was okay for the most part. Because
it should be. I mean, everything seems good on my end. I mean, I can hear you clear as a bell. So I think it's been pretty good.
Well, I mean, because you're on you're on the phone line, but I'm talking about like the actual like the broadcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother different, connection.
Well, yeah. Well, I do mention it because my cell phone is an El Cheapo, so.
Okay. I have the LG Stylo 5.
I've got the LG Rebel 4, I believe, so it's a little out of date, but it's not too bad for what it is.
Yeah. The LGs are pretty good in general.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to upgrade to this one while I was still working.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap service too. It's $25 a month.
Oh wow, you actually pay less than me. I'm paying $45.
Yeah. I mean, it's I think it's through what is that? Total Wireless, I believe.
Oh, okay, I have Metro.
Yeah. Now, I mean, granted, if you're needing data, like a lot of data and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, it sucks for data. But just as a phone and a text arrangement, I mean, it's great. I mean, it works. And then, of course, for the internet, I just use it on house Wi-Fi. So unless I'm out and about in the public, so I don't even hardly use the internet that I'm paying for every month with it. I mean,
man.
But it's so cheap, I don't care. It's basically so cheap, I don't really care at this point. But I mean, yeah, you can buy them. I think you can get them actually at like Dollar General or whatever. I picked it up at Walmart. My mom's friend told me about it, and so my mom got one, and then I went out and actually bought the same phone. And yeah, so far so good. The speakers in them are good. I know that. Well, really, it's only got one speaker, but it goes pretty fucking loud just standardly.
Yeah, well, I have you on because I have you on speaker, and it's literally one speaker, but I got it feeding directly into the microphone, And
Yeah.
I mean, the audio, on my end, hearing it in the room physically, I mean, it sounds good. So, and I'm
Yeah.
sure,
I mean,
I'm sure it'll be pretty clear later when I go and check it out. I always go and check my own live streams after I'm done with them,
yeah.
just to make sure that they came
Yeah.
out okay for the most part. See what got cut or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is, I mean, I imagine that's it definitely takes time. I mean, especially as long as it is.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll make it through the full one of this one. I think I might just kind of like skim through it.
Yeah. Just kind of wing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I want to check just before the 2 hour mark though, because it was having connection issues. At least it said it was.
I don't know. Sometimes there could be a delay. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I don't know,
some of them.
but I know one thing
Yeah.
is for sure. The longer I go into the morning here streaming, the higher the chances are that I'm going to have more of those. Because
Yeah.
that's when everybody starts waking up and connecting to the Wi-Fi and watching YouTube videos and whatnot. And
Well, I mean, if anything, I mean, maybe we should get together and do one at night sometime,
yeah,
or whatnot. I mean,
I do want to try to do at least a stream a night. Try to pick a good topic, or even just maybe like a general Q&A, or just a call-in show, something along those lines.
yeah.
And like name it something cool, like the COVID chat line network 126 live, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm always down for good conversation. I mean,
that might be an interesting way to grow my channel. Some like COVID chat line.
Oh yeah.
Vent your problems about how COVID ruined your life. Here on Network 126.
Well, to be honest, that ought to be a pretty popular show.
I think it might actually. I think we might be onto something with this idea here. And then with my cat Missy running around in the background, and making the show even more interesting.
Yeah, you have to take people off. I mean, I'm hearing, middle management and whatnot, even out of insurance companies, getting thrown out on their ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of that I think is they're kind of switching the systems. They're not only piling. I'm sorry about this. There's a loud car in the background.
Oh.
Well, I mean, there's a situation where they're not only really are, really can. And I don't know. Some people are talking about a reset. Yeah, I think that there is some of that going on. But I think that really a lot of these companies, especially in industries like insurance and whatnot, I think they realize that there's definitely an up-and-coming income deficiency. I mean, the other side of summer, the other side of stimulus, that's definitely going to be that's going to be a major drop in income. And that unemployment stimulus arrangement, I think it runs out today, or yesterday.
Yeah,
I think,
yesterday,
actually.
July 20th. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I did see where Congress is supposed to get together. They're supposed to decide something. There's some disputes going on over a few key things, but it's it's really stupid. They've got until the 30th to hammer out a deal, to get that signed and get it sent to the White House, whatever. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to really extend it or not. There's talk that they will, but there's a dispute on how much. They threw out that it may be more like 200 to 400 on the bonus instead of 6.
Oh yeah.
They're talking about there's talk that the next stimulus check that they're wanting to send to everybody, it may not even be $1,200. I know that the president said that he wants them to basically pay more than $1,200, but they're kind of saying, no, we don't want to do that. I don't know. In reality, the damn bill ain't for us anyway. It's for the banks and, the corporate pals. I mean, that's really who it's for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then if they do an extension on that, I don't know how that's really going to work, because they're going to why the hell it takes so long, especially because can't they just fax it over to me? But basically, like if they do pass something, whatever that they decide to give people, they may not see it until maybe September. So what the hell is everybody going to do in the meantime?
Get increasingly pissed off at Trump.
Well, there's that, but Congress at large, I mean,
there's so much politics involved in all this bullshit too, and the clusterfuck of a mix bullshit soup.
Well, that's the thing. But honestly, if you ask me, I think both sides are in on it. I mean, yeah, I think both sides are really in on it. I mean, well, number one, it was a mix of governors who panicked and shut everything down and, all the shit. Of course, then again, it was the president who authorized a national emergency when, in my opinion, there really was none. And at least we're learning that. And then, of course, the governors went hog wild and shut a bunch of stuff down. I know in my state, our governor is wanting to do that. He's supposed to actually flap his gums today. And he's threatening more mandates, but exactly on what, we don't know just yet. They've dropped a couple of hints in the news, but I don't know. So, it's kind of like everybody who was able to go back to work, specifically bars, restaurants, and maybe even some retail jobs, it's kind of like, they stand the chance that they're going to get thrown out today. So everybody's kind of on edge.
Yeah.
I mean, and, of course, this isn't the only state. I guess, Texas, as you mentioned earlier, is having some issues with this. And, they're wanting to panic and shut everything down. There's been some talk of Florida. It's both sides. I personally think what they're trying to do is they really are just purposely trying to fuck with people.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to bring everybody to their knees, make them heavily dependent on the system, and then, you're going to have to ask permission to go to work.
Well, yeah, because, at this point, I mean, the entire economy, or what's left of it, is pretty much just being propped up by these constant injections of stimulus, and it's like we're society as a whole is becoming, an addict to the stimulus. The stimulus shots.
The thing is a large portion of the economy last time around got addicted to it. I mean, there was the bank bailouts, there was the car company bailouts, there was certain corporate breaks and things that they could get, yada yada. But one thing I think that a lot of people have overlooked is, especially in the last decade, it was real popular, and it still goes on to this day. A lot of people basically bitch about, food stamps. Hey, I'm no advocate for it. But at the end of the day, excuse me, a lot of these folks, they don't bother to follow the money. And what they see is basically a food stamp card holder, and that's who they want to geek out about. They don't see that system was purposely expanded, and they made it real super easy for people to get on it. They did that for numerous reasons, but the main reason is so they can give it to the damn retailers. The retailers are addicted to it. I had customers, especially elderly customers, that came into my store, and they would stand there and freak out that, well, Trump's going to cut our food stamp benefits. He's going to cut my benefits. And I says, no, he's not cutting a damn thing. Well, but he said, and they said, and I don't care what they said. They're not cutting your benefits. How do you figure that? Well, because if they cut your benefits, dear, I'm out of a damn job, and this company folds up, and guess what? Every one of them like it folds up. That's their mainstream of income. That's exactly why we got the nasty emails we got. No shit.
Yeah.
I'm not bullshitting at all. That's exactly what has happened. They expanded it because, see, the thing is they were not going to write retailers a bailout bill much like they did the car companies and banks. And the reason being is because that would have been too damned obvious to the middle class that we really are in a problem here. Everybody thought it was bad that they were doing this for car companies and banks, and they thought, oh, fuck, the economy's terrible. And they were right, it is terrible. But they were not going to make it even more obvious that it's even, 40 times worse than what they admitted to by writing the retailers, big and small, a bailout bill. They weren't going to do it. So what do? They took an existing system and they expanded the shit out of it. And basically, long story short, too late, your food stamp cardholder is nothing more than an unofficial courier for the government. Their job is to take that money and pass it out to the retailers of their choice. So it is an attempt to keep your cities and towns looking normal. Because if they look normal, if the store stays open, the majority of the middle class doesn't detect the damn problem. They only get worried when they start seeing empty buildings.
Oh, yeah, it all makes sense.
And I'll be the first to admit, that when I was working retail, particularly for the company I was working for, that particular company at that particular time, my paycheck was basically welfare. But I've heard managers for a long time stand there and bitch, piss, and moan, hey, fucking food stamp people. And I'm going, yeah, but that's who's paying your bill, dude. They don't want to admit it. That's one of the major follies of some of the folks in the middle class is they don't want to ever admit, and they certainly don't like proof, because it ruins their perception of what they've been told and taught the middle class is. The problem is at one point in time, yeah, they were correct. It really was that. The bad part is no, it's not that anymore.
Yeah.
Hell, even those working for the aerospace industry are basically on welfare. There's a government contract everywhere. Every company has government contracts for something. There ain't a damn one of them that don't. So even if they're not selling food or foodstuffs and benefiting from it, they've still figured out how to extract government money. And then the other situation is basically the biggest fucking ripoff is, they get a tax break for even pretending to hire us. Yeah, it's called the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. Even lousy temp services qualify for that. So if you've been unemployed for any considerable time, I don't even think it's maybe 3 months. They will get a tax break for pretending to give you a job. And I say it's pretending because in many cases, it's done nothing but ensure that these jobs are temporary. This is why the help wanted sign never comes down.
Oh.
Because they'll hire,
they'll hire people. On that, like several years ago, those never-ending hiring signs.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Even before the Work Opportunity Tax Credit was made 100% official, they were actually doling it out last decade, early. I think there was places that was getting it, I think, as early as 2009. So this is why the help wanted sign hasn't disappeared in many cases. Is because what they'll do is they'll hire, I don't know, say 10 people. Some of them, let's say maybe up to 8 of them, will get the tax break. If they agree to work them for 120 hours, the establishment receives a 25% tax break. If they miraculously work them for 400 hours, they get a 40% tax break. But in many cases, they're not seeing 400 hours. What they're seeing is 120 hours. Then the company will drum up a reason to fire them, throw them out, hire in another 10 people, and go at it again. It's getting to the point where they're running out of people in every single town. This is why around here, temp services want to send residents of my town clear to Columbus. They want to send residents of Columbus clear over here. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's a fucking scam.
The whole economy, this whole world is a scam. Really?
Well, it's bullshit. It's a house of cards.
Yeah, exactly.
And
house of cards. Yeah.
I think exactly what's happening, part of COVID, I think, is to cover up for the sheer fact that it's unsustainable. They can't sustain this no more. So I think that they're having to basically try their best to wind things down. I mean, we're definitely being routed into something. I mean, there's definitely something else going on here.
Yeah, but
I mean, because why? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, dare I say, it even sounds like maybe population control trying to bring us down.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, essentially, they want you dependent on them so they can tell you what to do. That's been the agenda. It's not a new concept. It's I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, it is a conspiracy in terms of, hey, they are conspiring to fuck us. But this goes well beyond some of the current events. I mean, it's like, for instance, the housing crash last time.
Yeah.
Everybody basically was forced to. Well, everybody took a hit. Let's just put it that way. And I seen once, let's just say, prominent or nice apartment complexes go straight to shit right after that. I've seen nice neighborhoods basically go to dirt because the landlords could throw the house on Metropolitan, collect exuberant amounts of money, and they just quit doing any maintenance at all. They didn't really give a damn. See, back when I was a kid, a lot of the neighborhoods that were rentals, what would happen is the person would buy a house, then they would turn around, and especially back then, you could pick up a job left and right in Columbus. So a lot of the times what they would do is have a decent job out of Columbus. They would do a commute for a few years. Then they would turn the property into a rental. They would move themselves closer to their job in Columbus and live it up in the big city. And then the house over here, they would sell usually on land contract or whatnot. Basically, they were just paying the mortgage. Sometimes they made a profit. Sometimes they just wanted the bills paid. And, that was real common. But then ultimately what we've seen now is a lot of those houses are turned into rentals. They're run down to shit. The landlords quit doing a damn thing to them. They've changed hands 3 or 4 times. And they're turning decent neighborhoods into slums. And I think it's being done largely by design.
Oh, okay, I mean, I see where you're going, yeah.
It's quickly becoming a 2-tier system of either the haves or the have-not.
Yeah.
The problem is the haves, many of them, they think they're in the club of the have. It's like a lot of people running around talking about how they're middle class. Most of them I can look at and tell you straight up they're not middle class. They just look it. Because the slightest hiccup in their budget, they're fucking bankrupt. A lot of these people are literally one credit card bill from bankruptcy. And if it wasn't for credit, a lot of them wouldn't even look the part. They think they're part of the club, but they're not.
Sad world we live in.
Well, I say that because, I mean, shit, I don't talk to them anymore, but I have relatives out there that they're in that class. I mean, nice. They got everything financed, and a lot of these people are literally, 60s and 70s. They got everything financed. Their kids followed suit. So I've got cousins, it's like basically, 9 to 13 years older than me. I've got some cousins, 3 or 4 years older than me. And yeah, they all play the game. They got everything financed. They got a wallet full of credit cards, and then they wonder why they ain't got a fucking money.
Yeah.
And yet, these are also people that every time there's a college football game on, they'll spend $300 in bullshit just to have their preppy friends over. And this is literally what they do. And it's all being stylish, and they're going to pay one hell of a price. I mean, I don't certainly wish it on them. I mean, even though they're assholes, I don't necessarily wish it on them. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's terrible. And then, of course, they live in overvalued homes that are underwater.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that going around.
And, well, it's crazy. It's, shit. You got houses out there that, not 6 years ago, shit, even 4 years ago, that was priced at $80,000. That was a bubble price. Now they're demanding, well over 140 for a lot of this home. It's crazy. You got other houses, depending upon area, especially if there's any acreage, if it's semi-private. I mean, there's a lot of factors into it, but let's just say general countryside. Could have hardly an acre of ground, and I'm seeing them come up in the area I used to live in. Literally, $200,000 and $300,000.
Damn.
Any one of these houses, not 4 to 6 years ago, you could have picked up for 70, 80, 90,000. And even then, it was a bubble price because when the crash happened, a lot of those crashed out well below 40. I mean, that's how bad of a market correction it was. But now they're overbloated. And it's about impossible to get a home loan. I mean, especially through FHA. FHA don't want to touch anything under 160. But then real estate agents and bankers I've talked to in the past week, they're talking about, man, everything's selling like hotcakes. And I'm going, yeah, but who the fuck's buying them? Because most of those homes, I mean, yeah, well, it was like not a couple, 3 months ago. All the real estate sites had houses that was literally, 80, 70, 80, 90,000, 100. The real estate agents like, yeah, we've been selling them. And I'm like, but who's buying them? I mean, it's ridiculous.
These fantasy bubble lands or whatever the fuck you want to call it. People are just delusional that they have this like activity.
Well, I'll tell
bad
you.
news are just all about positive, but they
oh yeah,
blind the reality.
Oh, I know. I'll tell you. I remember. To me anyway. Yeah, to me anyway. That over positive bullshit got started back in, I remember, mid to late 90s. Everybody was supposed to be moving up in the world, and I can say a lot of folks did. But at the end of the day, it went to everybody's head. I mean, it just went straight to their skull. And they lost connection with where the fuck they came from. They forgot how they got there. And then they went on for, a lot of these people, 15, 20 years, living this damn illusion. And then when it all went down, here they were sitting there holding the bag, and they couldn't figure out why they were holding the bag. I'm like, well, you bought the bullshit. But then, of course, all these people were dick-wagging left and right about how, they bought the house at da-da-da price, and now it's worth $240,000. Excuse me. And to this day, I've seen some of these people, doing this crap. And I ask them, I say, well, okay, so what you're saying is you bought the house, 6 years ago at $150,000. And now you know that you could supposedly get, 240 out of it? 300,000? Okay, that's a fair profit. That's damn good. So when you selling it, you let's put it on the market next week, next month, next year, when the hell are you selling it? Then they usually go, well, I'm not selling it. And I go, well, then shut the fuck up about it. Its value is pointless if you don't plot to cash it in. It's just another way to brag and dickwag. Yeah. And they fell for this crap in the 90s, and they obviously didn't learn anything. And of course, this is the thing. A lot of the people that play the credit game, especially a lot of relatives, basically ex-relatives of mine, they remind me of compulsive gamblers. You know what I mean? They all got a system. Oh, I can handle it. What you do is you do this, and this. No, bullshit, dude. You're going to lose your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, they all got an angle.
Yeah.
It's about like going into a gas station, and inevitably there's some moron standing there holding up the line going, well, what's that ticket on? Is that ticket on 54 or 56? What number's that on? Just buy the fucking ticket, because chances are you're losing anyway. I mean, but they all think they got a system.
Yeah, really.
And that's the way a lot of these credit players are. And of course, some of these people, they do the same with their car. My car is worth blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great, you selling it? No, well then shut up.
Shit.
I don't know. It's all fashion. That's like last decade. I think the reason why some of these people would come out, it may even explain its rules. I think the reason why a lot of these people come out, with all the work ethic propaganda and, trying to say, oh, get a job, I think it's because they were lucky enough they didn't fall on their ass hard enough, at least, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so they don't really know what the hell it's like. And then, of course, a lot of them that are really annoying with employment advice is, and every family has one, if not five, where they've been retired for the past 10 to 20 years. What the hell do they know about the job market?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, you're just being lazy. You're just not putting yourself out there enough, and blah blah blah.
Or there's always the acquaintances or the family members that, I don't know, they seemingly know that this place is hiring, and then if you go on these wild goose chases, because that's what it usually turns out to be. You get in there and you ask these people, you get in there and you ask the place, hey, you're hiring, I heard you guys are hiring. They're like, we're not fucking hiring, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happens. Yes.
I don't know. I think a lot of it just comes down to, some of them did have a job, but hey, they haven't had to change jobs in probably 10, 20 years. What the hell do they know? Some of them might had to have changed the job, but hey, it was probably 5, 6 years before they're talking to you about life's advice. And I mean, if they're not actively looking, what do they authentically know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then notice how, notice how they'll always pitch a bitch, but they'll never actually help. It's like, you don't suppose you could talk to your boss on Monday, do you? They're like, well, I don't know. And then they just never do.
Yeah. Oh man, what a world we live in. I just can't say it enough. It's just, it's there's just no words.
I mean,
I just can't help but just stand back in awe, just complete awe and disbelief of it all.
Well, that's basically where I've been. I mean, I don't know. They've turned everything into fashion. Going with the bullshit is a fashion. I mean, that's the thing. Is I think that's what happened. Last decade with having a job became a fashion. If you were lucky enough to get one, especially one that paid, hey, you're in the club now. If you're, it's gotten very, 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 very superficial. And look, that's already started. Oh, I've already seen that big time on Facebook. Just within a lot of these guys have really hemorrhaged about it. And I'm like, okay, so you get to keep your job. They conveniently forgot it too. I mean, I had relatives that were thrown out of their jobs. Their head spun for 10 minutes. They were lucky enough to pick up something else. Probably because, well, I like to know who they're
center on their patients.